Hello. Oh, letting everyone in. Hello, everyone. Oh, have I let everyone in? Now, hello, everyone. I do apologise for this. If you can hear the rampaging elephants above me, this is my children who are refusing to go to bed. They aren't alone rampaging. They are with their father, but they do appear to be rampaging still. Apologies, those of you who didn't come last week. Actually, it's just one of you at the moment, but I'm really sorry that I completely forgot to send the recording. So I will do that and send tonight's recording once it's downloaded, and I apologise. We're going to use today the small ball, but if you haven't got one, don't worry. What we can do if you haven't got one is use a pillow or just not have anything. So a lot of the things we're going to use it for is simply to have a little bit of tactile feedback for either in between your hands or in between your knees. So that can be easily, the same kind of effect can be created with a pillow. We are going to do a little bit with the ball underneath your bum. So similarly, it will be a slightly different effect, but using a pillow, will give you that same sense of lift. It won't change your balance in quite the same way, but that's okay. And all the exercises can be done completely without a ball. So this is cool. This is cool. I sound like a French kind of pop star. Let's start standing. So I would like you to come to a standing position where you are really supported. So if you like, you can start against the wall. You can kind of rest your shoulders, your pelvis back against the wall. It doesn't have to be the back of your head if your head doesn't naturally connect. And I would like you to take the ball or your pillow in between your knees, just to have a sense of feedback for where your thighs are in space. And releasing the feet, connecting down into the earth through all 10 toes. And I want you just to see if you can orientate your spine, lengthening up towards the ceiling. Let the arms release down by your side. And just have a sense of the thigh bones lengthening down. As the spine is releasing up, the thigh bones are lengthening down. So the fulcrum of your balance is your pelvis. And you've got this feedback for where you are in space with the ball. So we don't want to be squeezing the ball necessarily, just holding it in place with the feet hip width apart. So you may already feel like you're connecting quite deeply into it, but I don't want you to be really deeply squeezing. So just hold it there for now. Let the shoulders release in the back, maybe a couple of shoulder rolls, lifting up to the ears, breathing in, releasing down with your out breath. Let's do 2 more. And release the arms down. And then close your eyes for a moment. If that feels comfortable, don't force it. If it feels like you prefer to have your eyes open, maybe just allow your gaze to softly release towards the floor slightly in front of you. And just take a breath in. Let's open the arms to breathe in for a count of 5. And press them down for a count of 5 or 6. See if you can elongate that out breath. Breathing in for 5. Breathing out. 2 more in for 5. And last one. And release the arms all the way down. Take a breath in. And as you breathe out, let's roll down. So see how, if any changes, see if there are any changes in the sensations you feel around your legs as you let the eyes, the chin, the neck lengthen forward and down. Releasing forward, forward, forward. Let the knees soften So even if you've got your ball, you can still let the knees be quite soft, breathing in at the bottom, breathing out. Notice what muscles you're conscious of, if any, in this up and down movement with the ball in between the knees. If you feel that it's causing any strain anywhere, just release the ball in between the ankles for this movement. So if it feels like it's a little bit too intense, you can bring the feet a bit wider or bring them in between the thighs, in between the ankles. Let's do 3 more like this. So in your own time, warming up through the spine. Let the shoulders soften, the neck be nice and free. See if on the last few, this squeeze or the connection with the inner thighs with the ball helps you to softly engage or feel that awareness of your pelvic floor muscles as well. So see if you can feel a sensation, and particularly on the way up, of deeply connecting into the pelvic floor to help you rebuild your spine. Breathing in at the top, just in your own pace, in your own breath. That soft engagement of the inner thighs, seeing if it connects, helps you connect into your core muscles, that deep hammock pelvic floor lifting up as you restack your spine. Let's do 1 more, all finishing on this last one. Releasing the arms all the way down, breathing in, breathing out. Restack. Take the ball away. Maintain your hip width position, and it might feel completely different, or you might feel a little bit more connected with that sense of your inner thigh pelvic floor connection. Taking the ball in between your hands now. So I want you just to very softly press either side of the ball in, so as if you're trying to make a little sort of hamburger shape. So we're not curling the hands round. We want to be nice and lengthened through the fingertips. And I want you to let the shoulder blades soften in the back. If you like, you can come into a Pilates stance here if that helps you to maintain that inner thigh connection. Otherwise, stay in your parallel. Let's take a breath in. And as you breathe out, you're going to float the arms forward. Keep a soft pressure on either side of the ball through the hands. Lengthen the arms all the way up as far as you can go without losing the spine. So let's see if you can keep your lower belly connected, the softness of the lower rib, and then release the arms forward and down. And again, so mobilizing through the shoulder joints, feeling that the spine, the rib cage stays soft and connected. It's just the ribs, just the shoulders and the arms that are moving. And float all the way down. Let's do 2 more. Lifting up, little pressure on the ball, even movement through both arms. And last one. Now from here, let's take a breath in, and as you breathe out, I want you to roll with your spine and arms together. So rolling down all the way, softly squeezing into the ball. Breathe in at the bottom. And as you breathe out, begin to roll back through the spine. And as you send the tailbone down and the rib cage starts to restack, so do the arms. So the arms move with the rib cage and lengthen all the way up. Softly release down, the eyes follow the ball as you nod forward. Allow the ball to kind of guide the movement of the crown of your head. Breathing in at the bottom, breathing out. Softly connecting into the ball. So really feel that even pressure on either palm. Lengthen up. Let's do 1 more. Folding forward as you roll the ball down. Breathe in. Breathe out. Lengthening up. And lift. And then releasing the arms all the way down, maybe shaky, shaky, making sure you're not feeling uncomfortable or any strain through the neck and shoulders. Let's come down onto the floor. Same kind of movement now. So I want you to take the arms out in front of you. In the same way, Palms flat against either side of the ball, fingertips lengthening forward. And you can either have the knees lengthened out, feet flexed out in front of you, or if it feels a little bit easier or more comfortable, bend the knees. Whichever you feel. I've got a false curve there in my spine because of my hoodie. So I want you to feel like your spine is lengthened up rather than starting from a curve. See if you can really find those sit bones. Arms out in front of you. So you choose knees slightly bent or lengthened out. Take a breath in. Let's relax the shoulders in the body. So I want you to feel, let's just find the shoulder blades in the, connecting into the rib cage first. So without moving your spine, I want you to move your arms forward as if you're reaching the ball towards someone sitting in front of you. And then hug the arms back in towards you, but without moving the spine at all. So this is for the shoulder joints. Let's move forward, still softly pressing into the ball, and then hug them back in. So it's really deeply working into those shoulder joints without moving the rib cage. Let's do 2 more. And last one. And back. And then come to a position where you feel comfortably like you're hugging your arm bones into their sockets, but you're not feeling any tension either way. So the shoulder blades are resting on the back. You've got a nice sense of connection and a length out through the crown of your head. Now what we're going to do is we're going to come into a spine curl, so rolling forward with the spine. Let's take a breath in. As you breathe out, kind of the same as you did standing, let's nod the chin to the chest and you start to follow the ball forward as you reach towards the feet. Breathe in, breathe out, rebuild. So it's kind of exactly the same movement except you're finishing upright, except rather than down to the floor. Let's lengthen the arms to the ceiling. And then from here, reach the arms forward and then follow the movement with the spine, releasing forward. Rebuild, shoulders soft in the back, restack and then lift. Let's do 1 more, bringing the arms down and roll forward. And release, and then lift. And come back through center. Lovely. Now from here, a little bit more of a gentle connected movement. I want you to come with your legs a little bit wider than your mat. If that feels really uncomfortable, make sure you're lifted up with a pillow underneath your sit bone. So you want to feel supported, maybe the knees are bent. We're going to take the ball and just place it in front of your pelvis. Palms softly resting on top of the ball. Relax the shoulders. You can do this without the ball if you need to. Breathing in. As you breathe out, let's just roll ourselves forward. So allow the ball to be guided by your hands and let your spine lengthen forward. We're not forcing it, so if you need to come just to here and rest on the ball, then that's fine. If you can and want to, go a little bit further, breathing in. And breathing out, rebuild as you roll the ball back in towards your pelvis. Let the shoulder blades relax into the back. Breathing in. As you breathe out, maybe experiment, open the legs a little bit wider if you want a bit more of an inner thigh stretch. Let's guide the ball forward and allow the spine to lengthen and release. Breathing. Breathe out. Rolling back up. So without the ball, it's exactly the same movement, just without that feedback and rolling feeling. Let's do 1 more like this, breathing in, and as you breathe out. Breathing in, and breathing out, coming back. Now, 2 options for the next one. You can actually have the ball on your leg. So if you're mirroring me, you're doing the right leg, or you can have it on the inner thigh and reaching down the inside of the leg, or the outside, whichever you want to. Over the actual leg itself gives you a little bit of extra kind of tactile feedback for your muscles, but there's no real difference in the spinal movement. What I want you to do is we're coming to the side, so I want you to feel like this other sit bone So if you're doing your right leg, it's your left sit bone is planted still. So we're trying to reach over on the diagonal, but without lifting and shifting the spine or this leg. So we don't want this leg to be wiggling around. We want to keep both heels planted and both legs in parallel, or rather parallel up to the ceiling, as opposed to wiggling on either side. So breathing in. And as you breathe out, rolling this ball along the leg or inside of the leg towards the ankle, maybe the shin, maybe wherever feels comfortable for you along the leg, breathing in. Maybe stay here for an extra breath, just allowing the rib cage to open with this movement. Check in with the sit bone on both sides. Have you lifted up? Try and plant it down, reaching out through the supporting leg or the other leg. And then gently rolling back up. Breathing in. Let's go to the other side. Over on this diagonal, checking in with the opposite sit bone. Has it lifted up? Is it rising? What does this supporting leg want to do? Is it rolling in? Can you keep it lifted up? Even if it's bent, see if the knee can stay up towards the ceiling rather than wandering across to the other side. Breathing in. Breathing out. Let's roll back. Let's do one more either side. So softly let the shoulders relax into the back. Keep that sense of lift and energy up through the spine, and then roll across. On the diagonal, checking with your feet. Are they windscreen wiping, or are the toes able to lengthen up towards the ceiling? Mine are kind of dancing towards my nose. Breathe in. Breathe out. Let's go the other way. Rolling across, and again without the ball, it's exactly the same movement, just softly lengthening down the inside or the top of your leg. Checking in with that supporting sit bone, breathing in and breathing out. Let's bring the ball back through center. Just momentarily bring the soles of your feet together. Adjust your sit bones towards the heels if you need to, or keep them quite far away, whatever feels better for you. And let's just softly lengthen forward. Little inner thigh, butterfly stretch, but slightly more connected, so you're not feeling so open with the legs. Breathing in, noticing any and all sensations through the spine. And then coming up to sitting. We are now going to use the ball underneath the bottoms in your relaxation position. So lower yourself down into your relaxation position. And I want you to place your ball so that your pelvis is directly on top of the ball. So we don't want to have the ball so that your bottom is at the edge of the ball. You shouldn't see or feel the bottom kind of the ball underneath the sit bones in any way. But similarly, you don't want the ball to be under the arch of your back, so you're kind of poking the ribs up and sinking your tailbone down. The sweet spot is so that your pelvis is still level. So if you take your fingertips towards your pubic bone and the heels of your hands on your hip bones, you should feel like your pelvis is still level. It just happens to be lifted. So it feels exactly the same. And if it does feel in any way like just too much pressure, or your lower back doesn't like it, just take the ball away. So everything that we do with the ball underneath, you can do without. So do not worry. So just have a sense of how your body feels in space for this position, for this moment. So I want you to notice from the toes up. So connect all 10 toes into the mat. Let the fingertips lengthen down into the mat. Let the shoulders release back. Notice if you need and want a pillow. So I don't normally gravitate to one, but actually when my bottom is lifted, a pillow helps my rib cage to soften down when it quite likes to be pokey. So experiment with one, even if you feel like you don't need one, just seeing how the placement of your head and your ribs is helped with it. And Let's just breathe. See if you can breathe just down into the torso with a sense of where your pelvis is in space. So take 5 breaths here, just softly connecting to the body in this new position. And breathing out. So no movement yet. I just want you to allow your pelvis to deeply connect down into the ball, or if it's not on the ball, just down into the mat underneath it. Let your thigh bones soften down into their sockets. Let your rib cage feel like it can just let go into the ground underneath it. Let your shoulder blades drop and release. Collarbones widen. Head heavy. Last breath here, lovely and deep. And then as you breathe out, pressing evenly into your feet, so feel a real sense of downward pressure through the toes and into the heels evenly. And I want you to tuck your tailbone underneath you and let your pubic bone lift up towards the ceiling. So you're allowing your lumbar spine to softly release back, and you're finding the back of the pelvis into the ball. And then lengthen away, releasing through the tailbone. Maybe arching your back a little bit, but not into a position that feels uncomfortable. So the rib cage may well poke up to the ceiling, and then I want you to come the other way. So we're working through this full range of movement. If you're on the mat, that's fine, but you may feel there's a little bit less range, and that's totally fine, normal. Here we can explore that range, but only go into a position that feels comfortable. So if it feels like it's stressing your lower back, don't go too far. I want you to really think about the range of the hip joints in this position here. Consider what movement you're creating. Let's do 2 more. Releasing the spine away, tucking the pelvis back underneath you. And last one, let's finish with that tuck. And then from here, keep that connection down into the ground. And I want you to continue lifting. Just softly lift your bum away from the ball and then release it back down. And let's do that a few times, tucking the tailbone, lifting the bum away, and then lower it back down, just allowing it to lengthen without coming into that arch position. So let's do that 2 more times. And release away. Last one, notice your shoulders. And try and release down into the mat as much as you can. And then coming back into your neutral position, so the pelvis level, pubic bone, hip bones, in one triangle directly up to the ceiling. Now, let's challenge our balance a little bit. So take a breath in. As you breathe out, I want you to float your arms up towards the ceiling. Palms facing in towards each other. Maybe do a couple of shoulder drops if you need to relax the shoulder blades and release through the armpits. Now from here, take a breath in. Deepen through the lower belly pelvic floor. So see if you can softly connect into your center, find that activation through the lower belly muscles, really supporting the corset of your strength, and then float your left knee in towards you. So hinge from the hips. The knee joint stays just above the thigh joint, and I want you to allow the chin to be parallel to the ceiling. So we're not dropping the heel in. We want to be nice and active in that knee joint, and then release it back down. Other side, float the right knee in. Come in as far as you can without tucking the tailbone. So it's all about that hinge of the hip. See how far you can go without moving the pelvis. Let's release that down. You've got 2 more either side. So notice if you're favoring one side, if you feel more wobbly. Again, you can just do it with a pillow underneath your bum if it's too much with the ball. Last one either side. And release, and lift, and release. Now for the pièce de résistance, we're going to float the left knee in. Relax through the shoulders, really deepen through that lower belly. Feel that you're grounded through the pelvis as much as you can be on a wobbly surface. And you're going to trust in the process, you're going to float your right knee in towards you. Put both legs in your double knee fold. And I want you from here, if you need to, relax the arms down. We're going to take a breath in, really deepen that abdominal connection. So see if you can actively draw in through the belly, but without stressing or tensing. It's a really nice dimmer switch engagement, drawing up deeply from within. You're going to send your left toes down to the floor and then bring them straight back up. Other side, right toes. And back. 2 more like this, just the legs. And lift. Keep the spine lengthened, keep connecting the rib cage towards the hips so we're not arching the back. Last one either side. And back through center. Now we're going to add the arms, but not in the way you might think. So we're not going to take the arm back. We're going to take the arm out to the side. So left arm out, right toe down and back. And right arm out, left toe down. So your brain might have a little bit more to compute here because you're coming out to the side, which is the opposite way of wanting to. The brain wants to. The brain likes symmetry and order. Let's do one more either side. Really keep the lower belly connected so we're not allowing the back to arch. It's quite a lot of work for the abdominals here, but also feeling it in the hip joints a little bit. And let's bring the knees into the chest, hug them in. Maybe reach through the center of the legs to grab hold of your ankles. Breathing in there, let the inner thighs soften and switch off. Breathe. Right, so we've got a little bit more abdominal work here, but so I want you to really listen to your spine. If at any point the lower back starts feeling aggrieved, keep the legs all the way quite high. So whenever I talk about possibly lengthening the legs away, it's only as far as you can control this area around the lower back. We're never wanting to arch into the back and let the bum drop. I want you to always to think about the lift in the pelvic floor and trying to connect inner thighs as well. So we warmed up our inner thighs earlier on, we're now going to be using them a lot more. So let's start just by waking up the lower abdominals a little bit. So the arms stay down towards the mat. You can have them quite wide if that helps you to support yourself. Let's take a breath in. As you breathe out, send the left leg away at around about a 45-degree angle, maybe a little bit higher if you need just that bit more support. And then bring it back. So it's a single leg stretch, but just with the legs. And I want you to feel the lower belly active, the rib cage soft, as you're sending one leg away, drawing it back in, sending it away, drawing it back in. We've got one more either side. Last one. Good, and now from here, I want you to bring the toes together and the knees apart. So let's see, can I show you this way? So I want you to be in that position, okay? So with the heels together, that is my ball making a very funny noise there. Toes slightly, knees slightly apart, feet together. And I really want you to feel that Pilates stance kind of heel connection. So let's just in this position without moving, just squeeze the heels together and see how that activates the inner thighs. Okay, so even just that little squeezy sensation with the knees apart, you can still feel the active inner thigh. You don't have to be squeezing anything in between the thighs. So let's take a breath in. Now the toes are going to be apart and the heels together. We're going to press the legs away into your Pilates stance. So we're just squeezing the inner thighs and the toes are like mini pizza slice in between your feet, and bring them back in. And again, send them away. So pressing the legs out, squeeze the inner thighs, deepen the lower belly, bring it back in. Let's do 2 more. Reach away and draw it back. Keep the legs high if you feel that that's going into your lower back or it's just a little bit too much for the lower abdominals. Send the leg away, last one, or both legs rather, and bring them back in. Now, we're going to send the legs away at a position you feel comfortable. So whether that's here, here, if your lower belly wants a bit more challenge, take them a little bit further away. But what we're going to do is we're going to beat them together. So again, I'm going to demonstrate here so you can see. So we're in this Pilates stance and we want to open, close, open, close, open, close. That's a beat. So you're going to be feeling that in the inner thigh as you create the little beat scenario. So breathing in, open, close, beat and beat, beat. Let's do 10. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Release the knees back in. Just hug them in. Relax the shoulders. Maybe roll your head from side to side. Roll the ankles, whatever it takes to kind of release any tension. We'll stretch out the hips and the inner thighs in a moment. Breathing in. Let's come back into that frog position. You're going to send the legs away again into your Pilates stance. We're just going to do that one more time. So open and close. Beat 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Bring it back in. Now we're going to do something similar, but working the inner thighs a little bit more consciously. We're going to do it a little bit less swiftly than that. So watching first, we're going to send the legs away. And instead of beating heels together, we're going to scissor. 1, 2. 1, 2, okay? So breathing in. As you breathe out, send the legs away. Softly pointed feet, we're going to beat and beat and beat. Inner thighs really working together. You can do it swiftly as long as you feel like you've got that control. So the legs are lovely and straight. We're trying to keep them as straight as possible to find this in the inner thigh. Last 2. And then bring the knees in towards you. Let's keep the left knee in towards you. Send the right leg away. Now you don't have to be on your ball for this. It's a little bit more, angle for the hip joint. So it can feel like more of a stretch, but you don't have to be on the ball if it feels too wobbly. Breathe in. Breathe out. And then just bring that right foot down onto the floor, bending the knee. Take the hand around the back of the left leg and grow the leg tall, flex into the heel. Notice if you've just slumped the spine back. See if you can keep the spine long, and we're just coming into that hamstring stretch. Maybe point and flex the foot, circle the ankle. Bring the knees in. And back to that hip flexor stretch once more. Without too much of a hip flexor stretch. And then bringing that right leg in, send the left leg away, finding the floor, reaching out through that hip. Drawing the right knee in towards you. Breathe into that sense of softening, lengthening, opening through the front of that left thigh. And then bring the left foot down, hands around the back of the right thigh, grow the leg up to the ceiling, flex into the heel. That might be enough, just trying to lengthen the heel away, or you might want to circle the ankle. Change direction. And then bringing it back in, lengthen that left leg away. Bringing the right leg, the left leg in again, and just draw the knees into the chest. Breathe. Floating one foot down, followed by the other. Reorientate yourself to that feeling of the feet being grounded, and you're going to tuck your tailbone underneath you, rising up off the ball. Take the ball with the hands, place it to one side, taking a breath in here, and as you breathe out, rolling all the way down. It might feel really weird, so let's roll back and forth, maybe a couple of pelvic clocks, tracing the outside of an imaginary ball now. So trying to sort of gently reorientate yourself with how it feels to be on solid ground. Noticing how the hips feel, how the bum feels, how the feet feel with that slight change in connection. And you're going to take your ball and place it in between the knees. Now again, you can use a pillow or you can just do this without anything. Let's take a breath in. And as you breathe out, tucking the tailbone underneath you, softly rolling up through the spine, squeezing the ball, but only to hold it there. So we're not deeply squeezing with all your might. I want you just to have a sense of connection. The bum's lifted, the knees are lengthening forward, the feet are flat on the floor. So all 10 toes grounded. Float the arms up to the ceiling and lengthen them back behind you. Breathing in, breathing out, roll the spine down. releasing the bottom to the mat. Float the arms up, and let's do the little curl up. So nodding the chin to the chest, reaching towards your knees as you curl up. Little squeeze of the ball as you do so. And then from here, see if you can curl up just that little bit deeper. So deep and through the lower abdominals, nod your nose forward, further towards your pelvis. And let's release the spine down, arms come to the ceiling, breathing in, breathing out. Tuck the tailbone underneath you, wheeling the spine up. Lifting the pubic bone in line with the spine, so we're not sending the rib cage higher than the pelvis. Floating the arms back. Breathing in, breathing out, roll the spine down. Breathing in, the arms come up. Breathing out, deepen through the abdominals, nod the chin to the chest, softly reach towards your knees, squeezing the ball, deepen the abdominals, and then releasing down. Let's do 2 more like that, curling up, bone by bone. The arms come back, keep softly squeezing the inner thighs. Breathing in, rolling down on your out breath. Floating the arms up as you breathe in, breathing out. Curling up. Keep the bottom quite heavy. See if you can lengthen your spine without tucking the tailbone towards you. Let's do 1 more. Release it down, arms come up, spine comes up. Lengthen the arms back. Roll the spine down. Keep connecting the shoulders into the back. So remember how it felt to reach them away. Let's see if we can keep them connected as we curl up. Deepen the abdominals, breathing in, breathing out. Release the spine down, release the arms down by your side as well. Now you can do the next one with your feet down on the floor or in your double knee fold position, whichever one you prefer. We're going to keep the ball squeezed between the knees either way. And I want you to bring the feet together. Take a breath in, and as you breathe out, if you're coming up into a double knee fold, really deepen the abdominals. So scoop the lower belly, little soft lift of your pelvic floor as you float the knees in towards you. Let's take a breath in. And as you breathe out, so the feet don't have to touch all the time. If you've got your legs in the double knee fold position, they might want to be hip width apart, whichever feels more comfortable for your knee joints. Let's come across to the left. So squeezing the ball in between the knees. Try not to allow the knees to pull away from each other. Keep them hugging the ball equally. Breathing in, breathing out, bring it back through center. Other side, the breath pattern you can amend to work for you. So you can either come across on the in-breath, back on the out-breath, or you can make it last for full in and out on each direction. Let's come across, soften the opposite shoulder, bring it back. Coming across and bringing it back. See if you can maintain the distance between your navel and your knees. So we're trying not to wander the knees away from your pelvis. See if you can roll and rotate evenly so they're keeping the space between the body. Last one like this. And back through center. Well done, just release the ball away. Let's come down onto the floor, bring the soles of the feet together and switch off the inner thighs and the hips here. Just let the knees release out to the side. So breathing in and breathing out. Breathing in. You might want to come into a full body stretch, just stretching out the oblique muscles. Feel the sense of softness and openness through the front of the body. Now from here, you can stay in this lengthened long position and roll onto your side. Take the ball, and I want you to place the ball, or the pillow, or do it without, in between your ankles. Now, make sure if you can, that you have a pillow, so you can place that in between your head and your arm. Take the supporting arm and just rest it softly in front of your rib cage, or if you want to challenge your balance more, you can reach it down by your side. The ball is softly hugged in between the ankles, and I want you to make sure, if you can, that your legs are in line with the body rather than lengthened in front of you. So it will be a bit more challenge for your balance, but it'll also be a check-in that you can really activate through the abdominals and lengthen the top side of your waist. So let's take a breath in. As you breathe out, before we move the legs, I want you to just deepen through the lower belly, lifting up from deep below some pubic bone and upwards, softening the rib cage down. So really activate this sort of torso area between the ribs and the hips. Breathing in, keeping that activation. And as you breathe out, let's lift the legs away. So think about lengthening the feet and the ball out towards the other side of the room, and then slowly lower. And again, lift away and lower. Let's do 4 more. Notice what your feet are doing. Are they trying to touch, and toes sort of sickling towards each other? See if you can lengthen the feet and the toes in line with the thigh bones. Lift and reach and lower. Check in with your tummy. Make sure you're lifting the lower belly as well as the legs. Let's do 1 more. Lift and lower. And then bring the feet in line with your bum. So now I want you to take the ball, let's see if we can do this without using our hands, in between your feet rather than your ankles. So you actually have to kind of, like a sort of, like a dolphin playing with the ball, I look like there, not very elegant. So I want you to feel you can have the ball connected in between the feet, release the knees down. So we're in our oyster position now. So giving a little bit more feedback or awareness for where you are in space. We're going to take a breath in. As you breathe out, open the knee, softly squeezing the feet around the ball, and then slowly lower. You might find that that just gives you a little bit more connection or feedback from where you are in space. It might help you to activate your buttock muscles a little bit more consciously, and lower. Let's do 3 more. So squeeze the glute muscle, open that thigh and release. 2 more. And release. Last one. And release. Well done. Bringing the knees in towards your chest. Let's take the ball, place it out in front of you, palm facing down. Now you can do this without, you can just use the floor. So you don't really need the rolling surface of the ball. It's just quite nice to have as feedback. Let's do a little huggy of the arm in towards your ribs. Take a breath in. And as you breathe out, let's roll the spine forward, allowing the ball just to carry the rib cage. And then I want you to hug the arm back in towards your center. So we're not kind of rolling the other way. I just want you to feel like the arm comes right back into its socket, a bit like we did earlier on. Let's do it again, reaching away and hug it back in. And again, 3 more. And bring it back. Last one. And bring it back. Lovely. Now from here, we're going to go the other way. So either just lower yourself or roll over to the other side, or if you want to still see the screen, the legs are straight to begin with. So we want the ball in between the ankles and lengthening the legs away, making sure they're in line with your body. So just sort of recalibrating for this different position for the different side. It might feel really different on one side. This is my weaker side. I always feel more wobbly on this side. So let's just take a few breaths to sort of connect into the core muscles again. So lovely deep breath in. And as you breathe out, lifting through your center, connect to soften the ribs down as you lift the lower belly up. So you're really active before you're even moving. Take a breath in. As you breathe out, send the legs away. So squeezing into the ball and softly lower. Feel the top hip reaching away rather than shortening in that waist. So I want you really to imagine the energy out and away through the toes. And lower. Let's do 3 more. And lower, last 2. And lower, last 1. And lower. Now don't copy me from last time. Adjust the ball in between your feet rather than trying to do it without adjusting, which I spectacularly failed at. Coming into your oyster position, so the feet in line with the bum. Check in with whether that movement has shortened your waist. Maybe see if you need to activate through the abdominal muscles, the obliques. Breathing in as you breathe out, squeezing to open the thigh bone up to the ceiling and slowly lower. And again, so the pelvis stays level and we're just keeping a soft pressure on the ball through the feet. It might simply be that you're just keeping it there in space. So we're not squeezing it, we're just holding it, making sure it doesn't run away. 2 more. And release. Last one. And release. Well done. Bringing the ball out in front of you, coming back into the knee, the knees connected in front of you. Relax and rest your palm on top of the ball at shoulder height. Let's take a breath in and breathe out to roll. Breathe in to restack. So the arm is just connecting back into the body. Make sure the elbow isn't leading. We want to keep the arm quite straight, even locked if it helps you. And bring it back. And again, roll. Coming back. Last 2. And last 1. And back. Lovely. Now from here, let's just come onto your back once more. So you might be facing the other way, and that's totally fine. We're going to fold your left knee in towards you. Take the foot on top of the right knee, and then let's reach for the right, for the thigh, so that you just have a little stretch in the left side of your bum. You might want to here take the ball underneath your head. It can give you a little bit of extra kind of lift. So you can rest into the stretch. And then release that down. Just cross the leg over. We did this last week, just gently coming into a little twist of the spine. Breathing in. Breathing out. Come back through center. Release that foot. You don't have to have the ball underneath the head unless it feels comfortable, by the way. Coming back onto the other side. Breathing in, breathing out, reaching for that glute stretch. Relax the shoulders. And then softly lower that down, crossing the legs over, just going all the way across, stretching out into the hip, lower back. And come back to center. If you quite like the sensation of having the ball under the head, by all means adopt that now, just for a moment to lengthen out through the neck. Otherwise, just whatever your chosen relaxation position is, you can take the ball away as well for a moment. But we're going to just take a few breaths simply to scan the body for any tension. So with the ball underneath the head, it's quite nice. You can kind of mobilize through the neck without any pressure, or just have the head resting on the pillow. And I want you just to stay in this relaxation position. So you don't have to be in your chosen meditation, whatever position yet. I want you instead to very consciously think about where the pelvis is in relation to the rib cage and the head, and then the feet at the other end of the body. Just softly breathe as you notice each of those points, each of those landmarks within your body. Notice how you can soften and let go of any tension that you're holding within any of those points. So through the feet, maybe all 10 toes can connect into the earth. Maybe the ankles can soften. Through the pelvis, maybe the thigh bones can release just a little bit more. Maybe you can lengthen through the back of the tailbone, the sacrum area, more deeply into the mat. Travel up through the lumbar spine. You may notice your lumbar spine isn't really touching the mat, the floor, or you might feel it's imprinted. Just notice what you're feeling in your spine this evening. And then breathing into the lower part of your rib cage. So really notice where that lower rib is for you. See if you can find the breath connecting down into the mat through that space. Notice the center of the chest, the breastbone. See if you can allow that space to release. Feel heavy, feel grounded and supported. And the back of the head. The shoulder blades and out through the arms. And then come to the position that you would like to be in for the next few minutes of breathing. So whether that's supporting your legs a different way, maybe up on the sofa or the wall, maybe it's lying on your side, supported by cushions. Whichever position you feel most grounded and supported by. See if you can then bring your awareness, your attention to the rhythm of your breath. Counting, noticing how long it takes for you to inhale for one cycle. Notice if there's a space at the end of the inhale before the cascade of the exhalation. Is there a space at the end of that before the next inhale? So just for the next 5 breath cycles, notice what shape your breath takes. Is it a circle? Is it a wave? Is it a square or a rectangle? Just with curiosity, observe how your breath most speaks to you visually in your mind's eye. Is there a space within your breath cycle that you prefer being in? Do you prefer the inhalation at its fullness or at the beginning? Do you prefer the release of the exhalation? At what point do you feel most comfort? The space in between the inhalation, the exhalation. And then bring your attention from the breath to the physical sensations within the body. So notice where you're feeling that breath. Are you feeling it in your lower abdomen? Can you feel it in your pelvic floor? Can you feel it all the way down in the extremities of your body? Can you feel your breath in your toes, in your fingertips? Any subtle shifts of sensation? Just gently observe. We're not creating sensations where there may not be any, but instead fully observing and attuning to the sensations that are there. And then for the next part of this soft body relaxation, come back to the rhythm of your breath to start to re-observe with full attention. And it doesn't matter if your mind is wandering, that's completely normal. But see if you can anchor it with that sense of in, out. In, out. 3 more breaths. Two more. Last one with your conscious attention. And then you can continue with this soft relaxation, staying as comfortable as you can, and you feel supported in this position. You have permission from me, but mostly from yourself. And I hope you sleep well after this and stay warm. It's freezing. And next week, I quite like the idea of continuing with some equipment. So if you do have stretchy bands, we can have stretchy bands. And also, I know not all of you do, but if you do have a foam roller always have one to hand, because you can, whenever I'm doing a relaxation position, you could always add in a little bit of balance work with a foam roller if you so choose. And if any of you fancy doing a bit of foam roller and aren't quite sure where to get one, let me know, because I could send you links. You can get them quite cheaply. If you are local, I have some which no one is using, so you're more than welcome to come and pick one up. I know a couple of you already have. So do let me know if you want to do that. And I shall see you next week. Night night, everyone.